Hey, welcome to another edition. Today I bring you very important, very interesting topic. Now, every human being has three identification. You have three identification, okay? First is that is why you have first name, middle name, and surname. Now, your first name is the name your parents gave to you from birth. That's your first name. Your middle name should actually be your father's name. That's the right way. Your middle name should be your father's name. Then your surname should be your ancestral name, your family name. Okay, what do I mean? You hear people answering Jaja, okay, even when Jaja of Opobo is gone, okay, and that name, that lineage bears that name. That is ancestral name. That's family name. You see people answering Amayanabo, Amaya Nobo, okay, Amaya Nobo, Amimo, Ama, okay, Amibo, Amimo, okay. So that is just how it is, okay. You see people answering family names. Those are family names, and a whole lot of um, family names like that, okay. So every human has three identification. That's how it is. It's just like the Western people will say, I am Ileife. The second identification is I am Yoruba. The third identification is Oduduwa. Okay, although Ileife is not Yoruba, but I'm not here to teach them their history. If they want me to do that, they will have to pay me to do that. Okay. Now, you as an Easterner, this is your identity. First, you have your personal identification. Okay, what do you identify as? I identify as Ezon. I identify as Ibibio. I identify as Efik. I identify as Igodomi. I identify as Eka. I identify as okay, this. I identify as that. That is just how it is. Okay, now you talk about that's your personal identity. That's your first identification. Now, the second identity is your identification of expression, is your identification of expression or expression of identification. Okay. Now, what does this mean? That is where the word Igbo comes in. That is where the word Igbo comes in. Igbo is an expression of identity. What do I mean? What's the meaning of the word Igbo? Igbo means Ndibo. That's the first. Although Igbo is a corrupted word. Okay, these are the stages it went through. First, it was Ndibo. The word Ndibo means ancient. Okay, the word Ndibo means ancient people. Okay, from Ndibo, it's now generated to Ndibo. Okay, it now generated to Ndibo. That's the first corruption of that word. From Ndibo now to Igbo. Okay, that's the third stage it has got into. Okay, that is just how it is. Now, also the word Hebrew is a corrupted word of Igbo. Hebrew, Igbo. Okay, is a corrupted word of Igbo. Okay, it is not, Igbo is not a corrupted word of Hebrew because Igbo is older than Hebrew. Igbo existed before Hebrew. Okay, so get this. Okay, now that is just how it is. Igbo is an expression of identity. It is saying that I was part of the ancient story. I was part of the ancient history. My ancestors were the progenitors. My ancestors were part of that ancient story. They were part of the people who gave birth to the world, to the earth. They were the first people. That is what the word Igbo means. So when you say you are Igbo, you are simply expressing that you were from the lineage of the people that populated the world, that populated the earth. That is the meaning of the word. So for those of you who don't know, for those of you who don't understand, okay, you not claiming Igbo, you're not doing me a favor. You get that? You're doing yourself a favor. Because once you come from that lineage, once you're part of that family, then that is who you are. Your ancestors were the ancient people. So claiming it is that you're doing yourself a favor. So you don't leave it for the 5 Eastern states. Oh, it is the 5 Eastern states. They are the ones that are Igbo. Me, I am not Igbo. That is your business. You're not doing me a favor. That's why I love this, our brother from River State, the one heading the, I think, the indigenous Igbo communities in River State. He says, I am indigenous Igbo. That is what he says. He said, I am ancient Igbo. He is an emancipated being. He has understood who he is. That is what it takes. That is what it means. That is wisdom. That is understanding. He is sensible. Understanding who you are, knowing who you are, that is the most important thing. That is what matters. Now, the third one is geographical identity. The third one is geographical identity. Now, how do you identify geographically? That is where the word BIAFARA comes in the picture. Now, go and look out for the 17th century African map. Look out for the 17th century African map. You will see the word BIAFARA, Biafra. It is there in the African map. It is there. So this is how your ancestors identified. This is what they identify as. That is their geographical identity. They answered that name. They answered Biafra. It was part of them. It was there. This is history. Historically, they were there. It was part of them. It is not something that is new. It is not something that existed that just came through thin air, that just came into the picture. No, it's been there. You get it? That is why coming down to the 19th century, during the era of King Jaja of Opobo, you find out that all the documents that were signed by them bears the word Bight of Biafra. All the document that was signed by King Jaja of Opobo bears the word of bears the name Bight of Biafra. The ones that were signed by King Kokonengi of Bonny Island bears Bight of Biafra. The ones that were signed by Josiah into Bisinwachuku bears the word Bight of Biafra, because they were all paramount chiefs as of that time. Do you get it? That word was there. The name was there. Now, this name disappeared in the early 20th century by the creation of Nigeria in 1914. That was when the name disappeared. You get the picture. That is how it is. That was why even in 1967, an Ejo man was the person who said, we used to be called, we were called Biafra. It is an Ejo man that said it, because he's an old man, a school headmaster, okay, he's a teacher and all that, and perhaps he was small, and he had all these things from his father, or he saw it, or he knew, okay, and he grew with it. That was how it was. So it disappeared in the early 20th century by the creation of Nigeria in 1914. So now we can decide, okay, we don't want to bear this identity again. Fine. We can decide to pretend over it, but it doesn't mean that this is not who our ancestors were. Do you understand? That is just how it is. I am just here to teach you the truth. Know the truth. You can decide not to accept it. You can decide not to take it. Fine. But you have to know that truth. You get what I'm saying? So that is just what it is. So you as an Easterner, you have three identity. Even Frederick Lugard that created Nigeria called you Igbo, because it was an expression of identity. Now, that is why the white people, they studied the Igbo people. Now, the Igbo IGBO was not easy for them to pronounce. Now, they brought it down to IBO, Igbo. Now, the definition they gave to it, or the meaning they gave to it, they said I means I, then B means before, O means others. That is to say you come first as an Igbo, and that is how it is. That is how the white people described you, IBO, Igbo, I before others. Also saying the same thing, that you were the first, or you are the first. That is just how it is. So with this, I believe you've learned something. If there is any topic you want me to talk about, feel free, leave it in the comment section. If you have any question, if you have anything you want to say, just put it down there. Share this video, like it, and comment. Thank you. See you in my next episode.